Okay, I call the December 3rd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting to order. We'll start with opening prayer.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this opportunity to come to You and just thank You for all the blessings of life You've given us. We pray, Lord, as we enter into this business meeting, that everything be done, that it be pleasing to Your will. Bless us all, bless those who can't be with us, and thank You for this holiday season we're coming into. All things rest in Thy name. Amen.
All right, we'll start with the roll call.
Chairman Scott Stroud.
Here.
Vice Chairman Brett Ivester. Commissioner Cody Cobb. Commissioner Mark Randall.
Here.
Commissioner Greg McFarland.
Here.
All right, move on to approval of the agenda. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda. Changes or comments?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, moving on to approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was actually in October. Changes, comments on those? If not, we'll entertain.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. We will now begin the public hearing portion of the meeting. The board will call for each item in turn. The way the public hearing will go tonight is we will first call for those wishing to speak in favor of the item in question. For those wishing to speak in favor, we will ask that you limit your time to 10 minutes per person. We will have a timer, and if you hear that timer go off, we kindly ask you to wrap up your thoughts. Following, for those wishing to speak in favor of each item, we will then call for those wishing to speak in opposition to each item. Again, those wishing to speak in opposition will also have 10 minutes to speak. We will also have a timer and ask you to wrap up your thoughts if you hear that go off. Following from that, at the pleasure of the chairman, a 3-minute rebuttal can be provided if there are any concerns from the applicant. Are there any questions about how this public hearing will commence tonight? Okay, all right, with that being said, we can go ahead and move into item number 1?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 1 is a rezoning request from Nell Garland, 1220 Cawthon Road, Toccoa, parcel 021D005. The property is currently zoned as agricultural intensive. The proposed action to be taken is to rezone 4.05 acres to agricultural residential for residential use. There is some zoning history on this property. On June 26, 2018, a portion was rezoned from AI to RS. You can see that portion there on the map near the property zone residential multi, as well as that property there in the middle. The minimum lot size in agricultural intensive is 10 acres, and thus the property owner will need a rezoning to agricultural residential to be able to utilize the 4.05 acre tract without a lot size variance. The minimum acreage in agricultural residential is 1 acre. This does look to be an appropriate rezoning, as this 4-acre parcel is generally too small by right to be utilized for intensive agricultural purposes, and the portion being rezoned touches ag residential on one side and residential single on the other, thereby establishing an appropriate buffer of low-intensity residential agricultural use in the area. Recommendation from staff is to approve as requested. You will also see the tract being requested to be rezoned there in your packet. Are there any questions? Okay. Is there any? That's for the board. We'll be calling the public hearing right now. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the item? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, the public hearing for item number 1 is closed.
Any further questions, comments from the board? Entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay. Item number 2. This is a variance request from Wayne and Janice Seegers, Joe Ryder Road, Toccoa, parcel 018B062C. The property is currently zoned as residential single. The proposed action to be taken is to grant a variance to the rear yard setback of 6 feet for a total 4-foot rear yard setback for the placement of an accessory structure. This is for the placement of a carport. According to Chapter 59, Article 14, Section 59, 1409 of the County Code, accessory structures require a minimum 10-foot setback from any property line. Because they're looking at placing this at 4 feet, a variance would be required of approximately 6 feet. The property is uniquely situated in that 3 utility line easements run through the property, all requiring a 15-foot easement for the utility companies. This lot only levels off near the present dwelling on the property next door, so there are topographical concerns as well. It was determined after meeting with both the property owner and with staff that the property owner would either be required to combine these 2 properties here, the larger one or the smaller one on the corner and the one immediately to the right of it, and request a variance for an additional accessory structure as there are already 3 on site, or request a variance for a reduction in the rear yard setback. And by the way, the property owner owns both of these parcels. So the rear yard setback would be a variance to a property that they own. It's the one right there on the corner and the one to the right, the one heading down I can't, it's hard to read it, but it's 18B062C is the one we're looking at. Anyway, as the property owner would like to keep the parcels separate, and as the rear yard setback actually fronts the side yard setback of the parcel which the property owner resides, this would be a low-intensive request, as there's plenty of acreage, over 9 acres total. Variances are typically provided for low-intensive requests as this due to determined hardships like topographical concerns. Recommendation from staff is to approve as requested. Are there any questions or comments from the Planning Commission? Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, the land use public hearing for item number 2 is closed.
Narrative here. Any further questions?
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion.
Item number 3 is a variance request from Edith Kimsey Youngblood Estate, 283 Easy Street, Toccoa, parcel T06074. The property is currently zoned as residential single. The proposed action to be taken is to grant a lot size variance of less than 1 acre for 0.31 acres, and to grant a variance to the front and side yard setback of 10 feet for the existing accessory structures on site. So the property owner is splitting this into 2 different parcels. The first parcel will be 1 acre and the second will be 0.69 acres. Because Section 59-803 of the Land Use Ordinance requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre, a variance will be required as the newly created parcels are not grandfathered in any longer and will require conformance with the current existing ordinance. Additionally, there is an accessory storage structure on the side yard setback that touches the side yard property line, and there's a carport on the front yard setback that touches the front yard property line. These structures have been in existence for over 30 years and thus far have not constituted a problem to the neighborhood. However, according to Section 59-1409, accessory structures require a minimum of 10 feet setback from any property line, and thus, because these are touching the property lines, a variance of approximately 10 feet would be required. Again, it should be stated that no new structures are being requested. The property is simply being asked to conform with current requirements due to the newly created property lines. Recommendation from staff is to approve as requested. Are there any questions or comments from the Planning Commission? Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? The land use public hearing for item number 3 is closed.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion.
Okay. Item number 4 is a rezoning request from AK New Ventures LLC, 125 Skyline Drive, Toccoa, parcels T37055 and T37058. Those have been combined. They submitted a plat for approval. However, they're still separated on the tax assessor's map. The property is currently zoned as residential single, and the proposed action to be taken is to rezone to planned unit development to create a mixed-use development. Bear with me, there's a bit more here since PUD requires a bit more for discussion than a typical rezoning or variance. The property owner would like to rezone to planned unit development to create a mixed-use development consisting of multifamily townhome housing, commercial retail space, a potential hotel, and single-family residential housing with the following phases considered. Phase 1 would be residential townhomes, a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units, as shown in the conceptual master plan. And Phase 2 will explore commercial development on outparcels, including plans to develop a hotel, restaurant, or professional offices. The planned unit development zoning district requires a development plan and a summary statement of intent. According to the summary statement of intent that was submitted, the total project cost is estimated at $5 million to $7 million for the residential construction and $10 million to $12 million for commercial uses. The timeline for development is estimated at between 2 to 5 years for completion. According to the summary statement of intent, the goal for this development is to serve as a catalyst for further development of the area, as well as create a development that reflects the city's vision for growth and prosperity. The project is expected to integrate various land uses, attract new residents and businesses, and enhance infrastructure in the area. Since the concept is mixed use and development, the property owner is requesting that the planned unit development zoning designation be approved, which allows for, among other benefits, higher density and unique opportunities for development in coordination with the Stevens County Board of Commissioners. The property owner has stated that he will stay within the maximum density allotment of 15 dwelling units per acre. The property owner also owns a parcel immediately adjacent to the 2 county parcels, and while this parcel cannot be included in this county PUD, the development plan showcases it serving as a green space buffer to Addington Drive. The Stevens County Comprehensive Plan of 2021 proposes development along the SR 17 corridor to consist of mixed uses, including industrial, commercial, and residential. The goal of the comprehensive plan is to have the county review development options after consideration of land use management objectives for the area. To further this goal, the Stevens County Board of Commissioners updated the land use ordinance to allow for the planned unit development zoning district at their May 23, 2023 regular meeting after 1 public hearing and 2 readings. As this project will be located on county parcels in close proximity to city parcels, it's also prudent to state that the City of Toccoa Comprehensive Plan of 2021 states the need for options for housing choices dependent on citizen demographic need, including single-family and multifamily residential. Additionally, the City of Toccoa defines the Big A Road corridor as a character area in need of commercial development and lists attractive and diverse business opportunities such as a hotel as contributing to the overall city goals. Both the Stevens County Board of Commissioners and Toccoa City Commission have voiced their support for mixed-unit development along the Toccoa Bypass and SR 17 corridor, and funds have been directly obligated to support this effort. AK New Ventures development plan and summary statement of intent showcases a desire for investment in Stevens County over the next several years. After the development plan is approved, the applicant may move forward with receiving any land disturbance permits and will be required to submit construction drawings before any work can commence. Any change from the development plan at any time must be reviewed by the Planning Department and approved by the Board of Commissioners before project implementation in accordance with the PUD ordinance. Upon approval of the PUD, construction must begin within 2 years, with the Board of Commissioners having the option to extend the period for beginning construction for any phase up to 1 additional year. If construction does not commence within this time frame, the county shall cause the development to be removed from the official zoning map and shall reinstate the zoning district and regulations of commercial general, residential single, as in effect prior to approval in accordance with the PUD ordinance. Should the board deem it appropriate, the plan may be approved with modifications, for which the applicant shall file a written notice of consent to the modifications, and a properly revised site plan shall be filed with the county prior to changing the zoning map. Recommendation from staff is to approve as requested. Are there any questions or comments from the Planning Commission?
One quick question. So I just want to clarify what we're approving with this. I know it's for the rezoning. It's stated that they will stay within the 15 dwelling units per acre.
Yes.
But we are approving less than that based on their
Yes.
site plan?
Yes.
And so they will, are we approving the 15?
No, well,
We're
the
approving exactly
the
what they-
15 is already is approved by right in the ordinance. So the ordinance clearly states that the max allowed in a planned unit development is 15 per acre, or 15 dwelling units per acre.
So we're effectively approving 15 times the number of acreage?
Yes. Yeah, I mean.
Not what they have
Yeah,
on the site.
you would, if they asked for a variance to that, which would be greater than that, you would have to approve that variance, but they're not asking for any sort of variance.
But, so we're not approving their site plan, the number of houses
No.
they have drawn on their site
No.
plan. Okay.
Yeah, you're approving the development plan, which is, well, you're approving the rezoning and the overall development plan.
They will, if we approve this, they will be allowed to.
Yes. That's right. Any other questions, comments from the planning commission?
Is it gonna be townhomes or apartments?
They're saying a mix right now, and there should be a drawing in your packet.
Put that up, because I'm sure some of those.
Now, let me see, I think I can probably pull it up.
People here probably like to see.
It's in the packet, right? Let's see here. See if I can figure out how to get this packet. Apologies. That's a PDF file. So I can't pull it up through the, through PowerPoint. But it should be in the packet that should be publicly available. It's on our county website. No, please. Trying to figure out how to.
$11 acres.
What about the utilities? Is the county or the city gonna?
Here it is.
Blue buildings are commercial office space, which my understanding, those would be restaurant or professional offices. Is that your understanding, Christian?
Yes, sir.
The orange is a hotel, the green are townhomes, and the B,
Oops, they're not showing now?
the
Excuse me.
red are the single-family homes.
Do you guys want to open the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys, let me try to do this again. Here we go. Okay, any questions or comments from the planning commission before we open the public hearing?
On city sewer?
Yeah, yes, this would be connected. Yeah.
My question, where are the utilities coming in? This piece of property is right in the middle of all the city properties, for it to be a county property.
Yeah, there's I know there's a sewer line coming down that Charles Street, not where it says not open. I know there's a line coming.
Do we know if there's been a traffic study conducted by the DOT?
No, that wouldn't come to the county, but that could be something that could be requested.
This is behind, it's the Addington Farm, behind Matt Struggs and all that, Bulldogs, and that's the property we're talking about. It's just, there's a lot of activity going in there, but I'm for it if it's,
Any other questions? Okay. All right, we'll now open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item? Oh, and before, excuse me, apologies, the applicant did email today, had some health issues with a family and ended up having to go to the hospital, so was not able to come to the meeting tonight, but is planning on coming to the Board of Commissioners meeting. I wanted to say that before we open. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, ma'am, or whoever. You're welcome to come up and state your name and address for the record, if you don't mind coming up to the mic. Whoever would like.
Good evening. I'm Charles Wilson. I live at 29 Parkway, which corners Skyline Drive and Parkway. So my main driveway empties out on Skyline Drive. And that's where we get back into the house and everything. A year ago, I think the same corporation tried to put a grocery store in there. And then now we have, look, I'm not against business, and I like the idea of the hotel and some of that stuff there, but we were under the impression it was just townhouses and hotel, and now we have 2 business offices. And I like the idea of the houses better than I do the townhouse. But are we renting the townhouses out? Are we selling them, to buyers? Are we, again, with the houses, are we selling them to owners? Or are we just opening it up? Will it be Section 8 housing? I mean, none of this stuff has been cleared to us what's going on. And this sign appeared on Wednesday. I was fortunate to get a hold of Mr. Christian and talk to him about it, but he didn't have a whole lot of answers. Will it affect my property? I mean, will you need to take part of my property or all of my property? Because I was planning on retiring in that house. I'm a pastor. We're here in the community. We have ties. I've been here for many years now. I have a grandson playing football that lives with me for Stevens County. We're not looking to move. We were planning on staying here. But this is interesting that this has come up, and then, the information is not clear on what's happening. So right now, my recommendation is vote against it, because there's not enough information to tell me what's going on with these properties to convince me to say yes. And what type of hotel is it? Is it going to be a 1-star, no star, 5-star? Because that will attract a certain kind of people that you want in that business area. But again, if we're not doing this type of thing, we don't know anything. And we're asking you guys to, I guess, do it. And since the gentleman's not here, we're not going to get any answers tonight. So my recommendation is no right now.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, ma'am. Or if you'll come up and give your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Linda Noel, and I live on Charles Street. And we don't need anything like this behind our houses at any time. We came to this meeting last time about that land. We left not knowing one thing more than we did when we came in the door. Everybody seemed to have made up their mind before we got, because this place was going to be worth money for the city or county, whoever's claiming it, and for tax purposes and stuff like that. Nobody could tell us what kind of stores were going to go there, but that was going to be magnificent. And this grocery store that was going to be there, they didn't know anything about this. They hadn't been offered or asked or anything. But, the board then had made up their mind when we walked in the door. All of us. And there was a bunch of us that night. But, no, we can't find out anything because y'all don't know anything. And you tell us this green is the housing. Okay, you don't know who's going to live there, what they're going to do, and what kind of danger we might be in. Blue is offices. Offices for what? Maybe you can take an office, you can turn that into a vape shop. Or you can take another one and you can turn that into a tattoo parlor. Nope, we don't know anything about this hotel. Don't know if it even exists. And no, we don't want it. At all.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, ma'am, if you'll come up and give your name and address for the record.
My name is Tammy Wilson. I'm Charles's wife. I live at 29 Parkway, and I just want to address some of the things that he did not address. When we went through this with the city, this was the same company that was requesting it then. One of the questions that we asked was, who do you have signed on the dotted line who is coming in here? They had nobody, and they had to admit that. We have no idea. If you zone this as mixed use, you can put anything in there that you want to put in there. As far as townhomes that are going to be lower income homes or whatever that are going to attract for a less desirable safety-wise thing. We already have a lot of people who are walking up and down our streets that are homeless, and the crime rate has gone up in this area. We don't want another Stevens Drive across the street from us, from where they have all of the crime that goes on down that particular drive. I don't want, I mean, okay, you're going to put houses in there. If you put 15 houses, if you say that you can put 15 residences or whatever per acre, that's 165 homes. That area is not big enough for that. Toccoa does not have the money or the clientele to support a very big hotel because they're not on a major thoroughfare. You've got to come off of 85 to get to Toccoa, and you can't support that. You've already got 4 or 5 hotels in the area, and none of those are really all that great. The traffic there is a huge bend right there, and I have a hard enough time trying to get out of my driveway as it is with just that there and stuff. And you're going to have where they had said that they were going to put in, this is the same company, where they said they wanted to put entrances was right there on Skyline, right directly behind the Dunkin' Donuts area and Arby's and all that, which is going to be on this end. And, you know, you're going to have people come flying around that curve, and you're going to have all kinds of traffic problems and everything. Big A Road and Skyline's already a major traffic issue anyways. I just do not think that it's going to affect our property values. Nobody, I think when we went to the city, everybody down Skyline Parkway was there and everything. This happened so quick over a holiday weekend before we knew anything about it, because the signs went up on Wednesday, and here it is, you know, Tuesday the next week and stuff. We haven't had a time to even know that people know whether or not it's going on this week and stuff. But I just am not, I am not in favor of it. And I don't think you're going to find anybody in that area. And I can guarantee you put something like that there, I'll never shop there and stuff. It's going to be a detriment to the area, to all of us people who've been there for years and years and years and years. And I just think that it's a really bad idea and stuff. And the other question, there was another question that I wanted to ask was, like, you know, if they're not even here to answer the questions, we don't know anything more than what we did when we walked in here tonight and stuff. So that's all I have to say. I'm worried about the safety for my kids, because my kids play outside in the yard and stuff like that. You're not going to do that with anybody and everybody from wherever in a hotel there, you know. So that's all I got to say.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. If you'll come up and give your name and address for the record.
My name's Doug Noel. That was my wife at 42 Charles Street. Until I knew, well, if I was one of you, what kind of hotel, is going to be a Sheraton? I doubt it. It's going to be some low-class hotel. The business place, you know anything about it? I don't think so. Anything you guys know, if it's all that we know right now tonight, you know nothing about this stuff. And we got to live with it. I don't know if any of you live around us, but that won't get it. I hope you look at it that this company ain't telling everything. They never do. They didn't before and they backed out. What in the world are they going to do? 15 houses on 1 acre. Come on. You want to live in that? I don't. Please vote no.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Yes, if you'll come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Larry Bell. I lived at 61 Charles Street, right at the corner of where C and B comes together. And the question I have, where's going to be a retention pond if they're going to put houses on the whole property? Where's all that water going since there's a big dry bed coming down our property? These are all people who is retired, these my neighbors, which I mean, for property building, yeah, but throwing that kind of Section 8 houses behind us, that's what it's going to be. We don't need 100 kids out of houses coming every which way. I just don't agree with all of it. We need some building going on. We definitely need a hotel. I don't know if that's the right place. And what about the part to the right of it? Is that not part of it off Addington? Nobody knows. Well, all of them supposed to be trees. Is that not?
That's a parcel that's in the city and would not be up to the purview of the...
Oh, so they ain't gonna do that. All right, where is some access off of Big A Road, other than Skyline Drive? And like somebody was talking, Skyline Drive is very busy a lot of times, and that curve right there makes a lot of difference. I'm not agreeing with all of it, some of it, but I like to know a little bit more information. Information is a key. And if you try to hide something or don't put it out there, that's where people really get aggravated. You want to know all of it, because this is going to be, we're all there till we die. We retired, and I'm not in opposition of all of it, but I'd like to have more information. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. If you'll come up and give your name and address for the record.
My name is Roy Grail. I live on 90 Parkway Drive. And this is the first I've heard of this. The main thing that hits me is traffic. We don't need that traffic. We can't handle that traffic. The other thing is, why don't we consider, instead of this, put some industry in here for us people here in Stevens County can have a place to go to work. You put that many people in here, there's not no employment here. So, why? I vote no. Thank y'all.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, sir.
Hear me? Yes, sir. Herman King. I live at 8 Skyline Drive. City. What's it going to be? Like with Mr. Bale, is where's all this water runoff going to go? Property owners. See, the thing is, what really confuses me intelligence.
Far from wrong.
No.
traffic, oh, the whole subdivision. Property owners about get more people they can afford it. Biggest problem right now in this area of Stevens, afford it. No industry here. Accommodate something like that, like you're getting a cart for the horse. As far as coming off of by that blue building to get on. All this has done been on and cutting food, quality food, parking lot, and all this. On out there at Junior's, traffic light about 100 yards right down there, and it Highline Drive. Got it on a timer that won't allow. But really, folks that's wanting this thing, they got property right down here on 106 and the bypass, and ain't been a shovel of dirt. Developer, he knew y'all's hand is tied. This is just a hoop to jump through to set it up for the county commissioners. Goes or don't go. It don't matter what I say. I'll say yay or nay. They still going to the county commission. I don't really see what is y'all's purpose. What good is it? Bond?
The purpose of the Planning Commission is to evaluate planning items and provide some of the understanding and oversight of an item before it goes to the Board of Commissioners. Yes, sir.
As far as what's on down the road, you don't. I don't.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Road for this, or other than just getting it approved, or just.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, I've got some responses I'd be happy to direct to the Planning Commission after the public hearing is closed. Yes, sir. It's public, sir.
Public?
Yes, sir.
Well, good.
Do you have any more comments you'd like to provide? Okay.
Okay, yeah, just direct the comments, yeah, up to the board.
I mean, what's so hush-hush about this? Just like these folks said, that sign didn't get put out there the last week. What is it, you sliding something in on us? How many days can you post this thing ahead of time? But we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow night, we'll stick a sign out there today.
My understanding is there are requirements on how long that has to be posted.
There are, yes, sir. State law requires that the legal notice go out at least 15 days, but no more than 45 days before the meeting in which the decision will be made by the Board of Commissioners.
The sign was placed in that time.
Yes, sir. The sign was placed, and the legal notice went out last Wednesday. Is that right, Samantha? And then the board will be determining it on December 13th, which is, how many days, Samantha? Excuse me.
Time period doesn't reflect this zoning.
No, sir. It's not reflected in the Planning Commission meeting. It's reflected, it's clearly reflected on the meeting in which the decision will be made, which is by the Board of Commissioners. Yes, sir. It met all legal requirements.
I'm afraid my 10 minutes might be up. I ain't heard no buzzer. Buzzer?
17 days.
Okay.
Called up. Gonna bite you sooner or later. All this real estate out there. At Stevens Drive. They had people moving in down there when they were in a won't lose domino effect ever since. So now I live places. Law enforcement. Quite frequent. Boys to dope. Not good. It's not good. Brought this up when Chuck Wright, the county commissioner, was going to buy that in there behind Parkway. All the lighting, sort of. That's all I got to say, and I've said too much. Y'all's time. Hope I ain't I'm against it, as you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, sir. If you'll come up and give your name and address for the record.
Stan Ritchie, 289 Skyline Drive. I looked this over on y'all's website. The road they got proposed comes out close to that curve, and that's a dangerous curve right there. Skyline is a throughway. We have folks going down through there 50 and 60 and 70 mile an hour sometimes on motorcycles and cars and everything else. This will make it a lot worse. It's a throughway for folks going on to Poplar and on down Skyline and those other streets, Julia Lane, all those, but because they're on their way over to Ingalls or whatever. But yeah, and I had questions for the developer, but they're not here. Is that correct? Well, I mean, I guess I can ask them, but are these all going to be rental? These houses in condominium? Is that in the plans or what?
Yeah, when we talked with the developer, when they were putting their development plan together, they said that their plan at the time was to sell the townhomes.
Sell them. The next question is, how many of these developments has this developer done so far?
So in our county,
Anywhere?
I don't know about in other locations. I can tell you in our county if you'd like me to
No,
discuss
I'm
that.
curious how many he's done everywhere, because those folks apparently don't live here. Is that correct?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay, then my question is, how many have you done? And I noticed this is Phase 1 and a Phase 2. Phase 1 is the houses and the townhouses. Phase 2 is the hotel and restaurant or whatever else. How many have they done, and how many has ever got to Phase 2 that they have done?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd be happy to tell you what they've done in Stevens County.
Well, we'd like to know what they've done elsewhere, what their track record is. And, dangling the carrot in front of us with a hotel and all that, everybody loves that idea, but that's Phase 2 that I'd be surprised if they ever got to Phase 2, and have they ever got to Phase 2 anywhere else that they've built one of these? Or they just build these and sell them or rent them and move on? Because if y'all approve it, they can put townhouses all over the property or houses, is that correct? They don't have to put a motel, they can put anything, is that correct?
They have to align with the development plan that they submitted. So if they decided that they wanted to put a golf course here, that wouldn't align with the development plan, and they'd have to go back before the board.
So if they build these houses and townhouses and they can't entice a motel or whatever to build there, they got to get permission again to put more houses and townhouses, is that correct?
If it goes above the maximum density.
Is this above the maximum density that they're doing now?
This is just the development plan that's been submitted.
Well, is the development plan above the
No,
maximum?
no, sir.
So what is the maximum density of
15 dwelling units per acre.
15 per acre? So they can put 165 there?
My wife does the math in our house.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of traffic. It's going to be a pretty good load on the neighborhood, and, he's not here to answer questions, so those questions needed to be answered, I think. So, right now, I don't think there's enough information that y'all need to vote yes on. But, I'm not in your shoes, so I don't think there's enough information, especially since the developer didn't show up. Didn't answer these questions for us. That's it, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Yes, ma'am. Come up and give your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Marcia McLean, and I live off of Skyline on Thomas. And not that I'm against growth, we need more living spaces in Stevens County, but all the traffic on Skyline is horrendous. Just an example, last week, I turned in from Big A Road, gave my turn signal, stopped, there was a car coming, I wanted to turn left on Charles Street. A car came around the curve there that we've talked about. They slid across, they were going so fast toward the guardrail, and I'd already taken my foot off the gas pedal to keep going, but there was a vehicle coming, so I couldn't turn. And then they stopped, then I turned in, then they sat down on the horn and made obscene gestures. I mean, it's just and I know that can happen anywhere, but that is a concern, is the traffic on Skyline and the number of people there. Just expressing an opinion. Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this item? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, the land use public hearing for item number 4 is closed. There were a couple questions that I would be happy to provide a bit more information about if you'd like. Again, staff is not here to serve as cheerleaders for a project. We're here to provide an honest assessment and whatever information we can provide. It's the developer's responsibility to provide an understanding of the project in total. With that being said, I do want to provide some clarification on how the process works.
Go ahead.
The development plan is simply the development plan that's submitted. It's an overall concept of what they want to do with the property. The rezoning is always the first step in a process. Once the rezoning is approved, then the plans would actually be submitted. And the plans are quite comprehensive. They can be 30 pages to 150 pages or more. We use a commercial plan reviewer to review all plans. This developer currently has one other project in Stevens County right now. It's the planned unit development out on the bypass. That was approved by this board and the Board of Commissioners in 2023. I know that no dirt, if you will, has been shoveled. However, they have almost finished the plan review process over there. They've spent probably over $100,000 developing the plans for that property, and plan on having a certain number of units up within the next year. In fact, they got a grant, or the Development Authority got a grant for them to operate a lift station out there, and due to the requirements of the grant, they will have to have those units up within a certain period of time. So they are hard at work. We know that sometimes it takes a lot to get these projects underway before they actually go, and you start seeing some construction. But I do know from meetings that we've been in with them, as well as the Development Authority, that they are moving forward with that project. With that being said, I think there were some questions about detention or retention, perhaps. Those are not, Stevens County is not a local issuing authority, which means that we do not handle land disturbance, soil erosion, sedimentation control in-house. Because of that, those go directly to EPD. So the state EPD reviews all of that. They determine compliance for any of those issues. And then, of course, you'll end up seeing those on the actual plans that are submitted for the project. One other thing that was mentioned, I believe, was the hotel. I can't say what this developer directly is doing here. I can say that the Stevens County Board of Commissioners and the Toccoa City Commission both co-sponsored this year a hotel feasibility study. It is available for public view. I think WNEG shared a copy of it on their news archive. It provided a very good opinion of the type of hotel that could be in Stevens County, which is a nice, high-quality hotel. That feasibility study has been shared with this developer, as well as with other developers in the community. And of course, the overall goal would be to have a nice, quality hotel in this community. Whether or not that is on a specific parcel, I can't say, but I can say that that this has been shared with multiple developers in the community. I think the last thing that I need to provide some clarification for, I think it was mentioned that this is the developer that previously looked at Addington Drive. That's not accurate. That was a different developer who was looking at 2 parcels in the city that were below these parcels. These are county parcels and have never seen this development or this developer come before them. I believe he purchased these parcels this year and is looking into moving forward with this. But the only other property that he has right now is off of the bypass. And he's working forward on one of the properties there on the planned unit development. Are there any questions or comments, any clarification needed from the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I think you touched on most of them, but one being the detention, and I believe it's part of this sort of development. There would be a erosion and sediment control plan would be a part of that, and the EPD does review those. So, and I know those are pretty stringent. So, I feel like that would be taken care of for that. And then I had one question about the density. So, we are able to make caveats to, if we decide to approve or make a motion to approve, put caveats.
Yes, sir. You can certainly make any caveats you would like.
As far as density, all that sort of thing. Okay. And then my last question was, does the PUD zoning, if they were to decide to sell the property, does the PUD zoning go to the next owner?
Yes, the rezoning, the zoning designation does. However, any owner that would purchase this and would want to utilize it as a PUD has to align with the development plan that's been submitted. It's written in the ordinance. Yes, sir.
So what if they sold it, it would be something similar to this?
It would have to be. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and bear in mind, the development plan is, again, a concept plan. It's the very first phase of the project. Once the actual plans are completed, it may look different than this. You may see, you may see one commercial structure there, not two, or something like that, but this is meant to give you an idea of the overall concept for what they're looking for. Yes, sir.
Christian, if we approve, and for some reason, things don't go as planned by this development company, so they do not get a contract for a hotel, they do not get enough inquiries or interest for businesses to locate in one of the two buildings that they proposed for businesses, as it states now, they could go back and put 15 houses per acre.
So they still have to meet setback requirements. They have to meet whatever the lot needs are to be able to have proper flow and septic, or I guess they'll be on water, sewer. But generally speaking, when you look at 15 dwelling units an acre, you're not looking at a house. You can't fit 15 houses on an acre. You're looking at apartments or townhomes or duplexes or things like
Let me ask
that.
it a different way. So again, if, let's say they built the townhomes on this phase where the green is located. They didn't have enough response from businesses to go into the blue buildings, and sure didn't have enough to go into the orange building, the hotel. They could go back and this entire property could be all townhomes. Is that correct?
The goal for PUD is to be a mix of residential and commercial use, but hypothetically, if, they weren't able to get a hotel or something there, then yes, they'd be able to utilize it for homes.
That's the goal, but from a business standpoint, if they purchase this property and they start and it doesn't work out the way that they had originally planned, they've got to be able to make it work out from a business standpoint. So they're going to have to put more townhomes on this property.
Yeah, I can't speak for them, but,
Right.
They would be required to come back before the commission.
yeah, because a PUD, it is required to have a mix of residential and commercial use. If not, then they would have rezoned a residential multi.
All right, going back to one of the questions that Scott asked is about the EPD would approve or disapprove, they would be in control of the site plan for the water management. Kind of getting the cart before the horse, isn't it?
I can't speak on that.
So should they not get this plan prior to us approving or disapproving of this plan?
This is just the rezoning, which is the first step in the process.
I think this is a concept plan, before anything's done, they're gonna have a.
Well, and I think I've dealt with some of these deals before, and some good people, some not so good people, but, and for all you, these people are looking at land, they're looking at what's grown. Anderson Thomas Road, Dortch Road, what's that new subdivision right there beside the bowling alley? I mean, we're building houses, we're growing. Herman, you know as well as I do, and in the 90s, there was plenty of places to go to work. Most of y'all people worked or retired here, and there's plenty of manufacturing jobs for everybody, and now people are driving out of town, and, the concept of the office space does intrigue me. Maybe that could be something we could get something going, but do that first. Yeah. The hotel's what scares the crap out of me, to be honest with you. I've seen that done a few times in Tacoma. Yeah. But, yeah. Yeah. But, anyways, what these people are doing is they find this property that in these areas that are growing. They're gonna buy it up and they're gonna see what will allow them to do, and they're gonna try to go find somebody that's gonna buy or lease that commercial space for them. And it's just like, the easiest thing for the cheapest thing for them to do is to go get rezoned, because if they can't get rezoning, and that's kind of the answer that I see from a real estate perspective and doing this is you ain't gonna spend $100,000 on site plans and development if you can't get it rezoned, because you just poured your money down the toilet. But in saying that, I do like it when they come here and they talk to us and they answer you guys' questions and try to, and people get sick. I think these people go to commission meeting, no matter what our board does, I want y'all to show up commission meeting, tell your neighbors, give Christian a hard time, make your voices heard. I mean, it's the commissioners that decide. What we're looking at is if the process and the zoning fits, is kind of what we're looking at on this board. Maybe they listen to us, maybe they don't. Sometime, I mean, you know, I grew up with two of y'all fellas,
Well, look, it's like,
so.
kind of unfair.
Well,
Venture LLC,
I'll say this, I was on the meeting in 23 and went in 23. They came and they answered a lot of questions and well, I don't know about that, but you know, the main guy's always the main guy. The builder, I think it was the builder that showed up, wasn't it? The developer that actually did the construction. He showed up and answered a lot of questions. He actually, go ahead.
So if y'all approve it or whatever, they rezone it, and it doesn't work out the way they want it to, and they turn around and they sell it, you've got these people's concept or whatever, but what happens if you've got somebody else that comes in and they want to put, you know,
I think what
the
Mr.
other stuff in?
They'd have to come back. If they want
They'd have
to
to come
change
back, change it.
substantially from this plan, they have to come back.
If they sell it to somebody else.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so if this does get approved as a mix, am I understanding this correct, Christian? If it gets approved as a mix, they have to make this a mix. Now, I'm not sure what ratios or,
Yeah,
you know, if it's 90% houses in a gas station, I can't tell you that, but,
Our ordinance says the use is permitted within a planned unit development. It shall be both residential and commercial.
yeah. So they'll have to have some sort of commercial there, but they can't do that, correct, Christian?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
When can you submit?
They'd have to resubmit. They'd have to resubmit and come before us.
But that's once you've already got the houses that are built and stuff, and you can't get a commercial person to go in there or whatever, you just stuck with all those houses and empty land.
That would be a question for the county attorney.
The county attorney? Yeah, that'd be,
I was a structural engineer, but if you, a civil engineer, make that decision about Skyline Drive, widen it, and it's gonna take my property, you know what I'm saying? You have no control over any of that. You have no idea what he's gonna do. I see that blue building's really close to that road. They can knock that building back and put the road there instead of my property. But the main opening, from what I understand, is off Skyline Drive. That's closest to the main thoroughway.
Okay. Thank y'all. We're going to cut that off as far as the public hearing is already closed, so.
Got one quick question, though, for Christian. This developer has the property over on the bypass, and this looks very similar to some of the things he was planning on doing over there a year ago. Does this take precedent over that now, or is it line up accordingly, or?
Yeah, that other one is on a timeline, just like this is on a timeline. A PUD requires construction within 2 years. So that timeline has already started, but not only is that on a PUD timeline, but it's on a grant timeline as well.
And if we, is tabling the item to have them, if we table the item, does it still go before the Board of Commissioners?
Yes, sir, it would be a recommendation to table,
Recommendation for,
for the Board of Commissioners to table it. Yes, sir.
I think we need more information.
Yeah, I do too. Maybe we can, more information and.
I've written down some notes here that we don't have answers for. Christian did clear up a couple, but there's still a lot of questions from traffic study to water management. I know that area and the topography of that, so I'm concerned about that. What type of businesses? What type of housing? What's their target market?
We here represent the county, the people here. We don't have enough, information to make a statement to these folks of how we really feel about it. we sort of out in the blue here. So if there's any way to table it and send it on to the commissioner and let them, because I realize along the way, there's gonna be, all the studies will be done, but I don't think we have anything left to work with other than a picture here.
Here's my thing, if we send a recommendation to table it, and then the developer shows up to the commissioners meeting, and they decide to hear it, we haven't have something to say, maybe I agree with y'all, we're missing some information, but I'm afraid
I feel
Yeah,
safe.
because if we table it, we just don't,
we're not giving our.
we're not giving anything. If we say yes, we're just rubber stamping it, we say, you know. If we say no, we don't even know what we're saying no to, so it's pretty tight shot.
Like they're handing you a blank. Plan on that. Can't do that.
So that could happen if it goes to the commissioners and they decide, and the developer's there and they decide to hear it. They could decide to hear it instead of taking our recommendation to table it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The only thing we could do would be to present our questions to the county commission.
Yeah, if you'd like,
If we go.
you could get all your questions together, and I'd be happy to present those to the developer. And then I could provide those answers to both you as well as the Board of Commissioners. And those questions would be coming from you to the Board of Commissioners to be answered as well.
And that's part of our purpose here, is to be more heads together and ears and eyes and try to come up with more questions than what they may or may not.
And we would be able to speak.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Go that route. I don't know how to word it, but, whatever.
Make a motion to table.
Yeah, I'll second.
Any other discussion? Got a motion and a second to table, send the recommendation to table the item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Don't mind, yes. So if we have questions, we can get them to, so if y'all have questions y'all want presented to the developer at the meeting, you're not be able to be there. Well, believe it or not, so we're all on the same team. We're all here for the community, just like you are, and we're serving, trying to do the best we can. But, I mean, that was the majority of the consensus was that the developer wasn't here to answer some questions, so we didn't feel comfortable making a
Have enough
decision.
information.
So whether or not the commissioners, whether or not the commissioners take that recommendation, we'll just have to see, so. All right.
Well, we're gonna ask them questions anyway, so I'll have to answer y'all and us.
Up at the next county commissioner's meeting.
Yes, sir.
This will be on the December 13th meeting at 8 a.m. In this building.
All right. Anything else?
That's one of my questions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Save all those thoughts and write them down and bring them to the
write them down,
commission.
take them to the commissioner meeting.
All right. Anything else need to come before the board? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Meeting adjourned.